The history of the Drukhari is one of unrelenting horror. Much of it is hidden in shadow, recorded only in allegory and fable by those intelligent races whose worlds they have ravaged. Records are kept, however, tomes scribed in still living flesh using bladed krills of bone. These histories divide the tale of Komorach into 3 ages, ill-defined and overlapping though they are, each more redolent with cruelty and evil than the last. I will now go over the Drukhari history in chronological order, or at least the one we know. It starts with the age of Dark Genesis, and the port of Komorach in circa M18, the 18th millennium. Komorach establishes itself as the primary nodal port of the Eldari webway, growing larger with every passing Terran decade, built entirely within a labyrinth dimension and hence outside the jurisdiction of the existing Eldari councils. Komorach acts as a magnet for those who wish to avoid attention. Then the Twilight cults in circa M18 to M20. Those leading the new Eldari paradigm of total self-indulgence rise in status and power until they can secede entirely from the physical plane. They take up permanent residence in the webway, from which they can plumb the depths of decadence undisturbed by Puritans and what they call weaklings. Over time, their sovereign estates grow into entire subrealms, many of which are powered by the energy of stolen suns. The solar systems and their inhabitants plunge into darkness by the Eldari's star theft, wither and die in the freezing cold of the void. But the Eldar don't care. The Ailing Pantheon, from circa M19 to M24. The worship of the traditional Eldari gods begins to wane as new sects and societies rise to power. The Dark Muses, many of whom are synonymous with sensual vice and sin, become the unofficial figureheads of the new order. Darkness Rising, from circa M25 to M30. The depravity of the Eldari race plumbs terrible new depths. Cults of pleasure and pain flourish in the hidden reaches of the webway, and even the core worlds of the Eldari society become obsessed with ever greater acts of excess. As the lines blur between sensation-seeking and outright evil, a new force stirs in the warp. Exodus, from circa M30 till M31. Sensing the end, portions of the Eldari people combine and modify their void ships into craft worlds, gigantic living vessels able to accommodate an entire planet's population. One by one, they begin to escape the corruption that plagues their empire. Hundreds of craft worlds sail into the Sea of Stars in search of the relative safety of the untraveled void. The Fall of the Eldari, from circa M30 to M31. A new chaos god is born, collapsing the entire Eldari empire. Slanesh, the Dark Prince whose birth screams tear out the heart of the empire and leave pure chaos in its place. The shockwave of the new god's apotheosis plunges a vast section of real space into the warp, creating the Eye of Terror. Most of the Eldari craft worlds are destroyed in the psychic backlash. Only the Exodites, the Eldari of the farthest flung craft worlds, and those hidden in the sub-realms of the webway, survive. Their species is shattered forever in a single apocalyptic instant. Komorach Ascendant, from circa M31 to M32. In the wake of the fall, the unrepentant Eldari hidden within the webway consolidate their power. The next millennium sees the port cities and sovereign realms of the labyrinth dimension grow steadily in size and influence, and Komorach becomes a sprawling realm unto itself. The Dark City thrives under the oppressive rule of the noble houses that lurk at its heart, known to the other Eldari survivors of the fall as the Dark Ones or Drukhari. Now we come to the rise of Vecht, beginning with A Legacy Begins, from circa M32. A half-born Drukhari slave, known only as Vecht, vows that he shall rule the Dark City even if it takes an eternity to do so. Vecht founds the Cult of the Black Heart, the first organization to openly refer to themselves as Eladrith Ineas, or Dark Eldar. The 13 foundations of vengeance are laid down at this time, an intricate code of dishonor destined to spread through the society of the Dark City in the centuries to come. The impact of Vecht's rise to power will resonate through Komorach's history for millennia to come. The War of the Sun and the Moon, from circa M33. The solar cults that control the Dark City's stolen suns rise in power and influence, ultimately declaring war upon the Drukhari noble houses that would see Komorach plunge into permanent night. An aerial war rages for centuries, but ultimately the noble houses emerge victorious. Vecht's Cult of the Black Heart transforms to become the first Drukhari Cabal during this troubled time, and is instrumental in the final defeat of the solar cults during the Battle of the Seven Shrouds. Vecht Ascendant, in circa M35. Asdrubal Vecht launches a series of punishing raids against the Imperium's shipping lanes in the Desiderian Gulf. True to his plans, this triggers a punishing counterattack from 3 chapters of the Adeptus Astartes. Vecht manipulates the invasion to cripple the power bases of the Patrician Archons, and in the aftermath takes their place as ruler of High Komorach. Shortly after, the Desiderian portal into the webway is forcibly collapsed, triggering a massive implosion and annihilating Imperial naval elements mustering for a second attack. The Cabal's Ascendant, from circa M35 to M36. The ancient Eldari aristocracy of Komorach is in disgrace. It is soon replaced by the Kabbalite system, as pioneered by Vecht and his Cabal of the Black Heart. Privilege and status are supplanted by sheer ambition and murderous capability. Many elder Drukhari noble houses reinvent themselves as Cabals, though they never forgive Vecht for usurping their power. And the Breaching, in circa M37. Vecht causes the hidden portals that link each Drukhari satellite realm and port city of the webway to be revealed, forcing them open and building the Great Gates, huge edifices that are permanently guarded by Vecht's elite incubi and Kabbalite warrior garrisons. Over several millennia of civil war and violent strife, Komorach expands into these once autonomous regions of the webway until they become integral to the Dark City. Only the realm of Shah Dom remains autonomous.